throwaway account because my sister-in-law knows my main. I, female, 29, honestly don't even know where to start with all this. I guess I should just dive in. I've been on this sub for a while and I finally have my own problems to share. It's about my brother Ryan, male 32, his wife Kylie, female 30, and how our family has basically fallen apart over the last few years. So me and Ryan were always super close growing up, like really close. He's my only sibling, and even though he's older, he never did that thing where he thought I was annoying or whatever. We did everything together. He'd let me hang out with him and his friends. He taught me how to ride a bike, helped me with my homework, all that stuff. Our whole family was pretty close, especially after my dad Carl had a cancer scare when I was 12. It was stage 1, and he's fine now, thank God. But that kind of thing really makes you realize how important family is, you know? Our grandfather Harold was the person who held us all together the most. He was the best grandfather anyone could ask for. He taught Ryan how to fish when he was like 6, and they would go on these fishing trips every summer. For me, he helped me buy my first car and helped me find a good deal. And he hosted these Sunday dinners every single week for over 40 years. Rain or shine, holiday or not, we knew where we'd be on Sunday evenings. Everything changed when Ryan met Kylie about 5 years ago. They met at some pharmaceutical conference. They both work in pharma, but different companies, divisions. Ryan had gone through a horrible breakup the year before with his girlfriend of 4 years, who cheated on him with his friend. He was pretty messed up about it for a while. I think that's part of why things move so fast with Kylie. He was vulnerable. They got engaged after 4 months, and married within a year. Like, who does that? At first, Kylie seemed fine, I guess. She was charming at family gatherings, always bringing these expensive wines and complimenting my mom's cooking. But there were these little comments she would make sometimes that just felt off. Like once she said something about how suffocating close families could be. Who says that to their fiancé's family? I'm a middle school teacher, which I love. And Kylie once told me I was settling for mediocrity and could do so much more with my potential. I have a master's degree and I'm making a difference in kids' lives, but apparently that's not good enough. Ryan didn't even say anything to defend me. Things started to change about 6 months after the wedding. Ryan started missing family events. First it was, we're too busy or work is crazy, but then the excuses got weirder. Kylie started pointing out all these supposedly toxic behaviors in our family interactions. The breaking point was Thanksgiving 3 years ago. When my mom asked Ryan about work, Kylie jumped in and accused her of doubting Ryan's career choices. Ryan just sat there looking uncomfortable, but didn't defend Mom. My grandpa tried to change the subject. Later, Kylie told Ryan loud enough for everyone to hear that our family doesn't respect his boundaries. When I tried to explain Mom was just making conversation, Kylie accused me of twisting her perceptions. They left dinner early, and my mom was crying in the kitchen later. After that, it just got worse. Kylie would make everything seem like an attack. Dad offered to help with their house down payment. She said he was trying to control Ryan financially. Mom asked about their weekend plans. She said Mom was being intrusive. We wanted to do our traditional birthday pancake breakfast for Ryan. She said we were treating him like a child. I tried to talk to Ryan about it once, just once. I thought maybe he'd listen to me since we were always so close. But he got so defensive. He said I was just like the rest of them and that I didn't understand how toxic the family dynamics were. It was like he was reciting someone else's words. I wonder who that could be. About 3 years ago, Ryan texted me at 1 a.m. saying Kylie helped him see how our family had been manipulating him his whole life and they needed space. I was devastated. I called him like 20 times, but he never picked up. I sent emails, more texts, even wrote him an actual letter, but nothing. For 3 years. We'd get the occasional sign of life, a Christmas card with no return address, a brief happy birthday text with no follow-up. I kept thinking these were signs he wanted to reconnect, but I think he was just doing the absolute bare minimum to not completely cut ties. The worst part of all this happened 8 months ago. Grandpa Harold got sick, really sick, congestive heart failure. We tried everything to reach Ryan. Calls, texts, emails, even had a family friend who works at his company try to talk to him. Nothing. My grandpa asked for Ryan every day. Even when he was so weak he could barely talk, he'd ask if Ryan had called. He held on for so long, I think he was hoping Ryan would come see him. Harold passed away last month. And guess what? Ryan and Kylie actually showed up at the funeral. They sat in the back, didn't talk to anyone, and left before the reception. I was so angry seeing them there, but also relieved that Ryan at least came to say goodbye. Yesterday, we all gathered for the will reading. Turns out Grandpa Harold left significant inheritances to all his grandchildren, including Ryan. And then something happened. Within hours of the will reading, Ryan called me. Suddenly, he wants to put the past behind us and reconnect with the family he missed so much. 3 years of silence. Missed my dad's 60th birthday, missed my mom's surgery, missed Grandpa's final days, but now he wants to reconnect. Right after finding out about the inheritance, I don't know what to do. Part of me is so happy at the thought of having my brother back, but another part of me is extremely suspicious about his sudden change of heart. Is it wrong for me to be suspicious? Am I being unfair to think this is about the money? I'm so confused and hurt and angry and hopeful all at the same time. Edit. Thanks for all the comments. To clarify for everyone asking, yes, the inheritance is substantial. Grandpa was very careful with his money his whole life and invested well. He didn't have a lavish lifestyle, but he had a good amount saved up. I don't want to give exact numbers, but let's just say it's enough that someone might suddenly remember they have a family they've been ignoring for 3 years. Edit 2. A lot of people are asking if Kylie seemed controlling from the beginning. Looking back, there were definitely signs I missed. She always had to know where Ryan was, would text him constantly when we were having family time, and would get irritated if he didn't respond right away. She also made all these jokes about how Ryan couldn't function without her. Edit 3. Someone asked about what my parents think. My mom is just so happy at the possibility of having Ryan back in our lives that she's willing to overlook everything. My dad is more suspicious like me, but doesn't want to upset Mom by bringing it up. I think he's taking a wait-and-see approach. Now for the first update. Wow, I wasn't expecting my post to blow up like that. Thank you to everyone who commented. So much has happened in the last couple weeks since the will reading, and honestly, I'm still trying to process everything. So we did end up meeting with Ryan, my brother, about 2 weeks after the will reading. My mom was beyond excited and spent like 3 days cleaning the house and cooking his favorite foods. She even made his favorite lasagna that takes like 5 hours to make properly. My dad was more reserved, but I could tell he was happy too, just being more careful about the whole thing. Anyway, Ryan and Kylie came over for dinner at my parents' house. I was honestly really nervous about seeing them and almost canceled last minute, but my therapist said it would be good for me to go. Yeah, I've been in therapy for like 2 years now, partially because of all this family stuff. The weirdest part was how nice Kylie was being. Like, suspiciously nice. She brought expensive wine, of course, and kept saying all these things about how important family is, how life is too short for grudges, and how we should cherish each other. I mean, where was this attitude for the last 3 years when Ryan wouldn't even answer our calls? When Grandpa was literally dying and asking for him? I kept watching Ryan during dinner and he seemed really uncomfortable. He barely made eye contact with anyone and let Kylie do most of the talking. And oh my freaking God, she kept finding these super weird ways to bring the conversation back to Grandpa Harold. Like my mom would talk about her garden, and somehow Kylie would connect it to Grandpa's yard and ask about what's happening with his property. Or my dad would mention a football game, and she'd bring up how Grandpa loved sports and had good memories in his house. I swear it was so obvious she was fishing for inheritance info. But my parents were just so happy to have Ryan there, they didn't seem to notice. Or maybe they noticed, but didn't want to ruin things. I don't know. Oh, and something kind of unrelated but relevant happened a few days before the dinner. I was helping my parents clean out some of Grandpa's stuff, which was super emotional already, and found this old photo album. There was this picture of Ryan when he was like 8 years old, holding up this tiny fish he caught with Grandpa on one of their fishing trips. His smile was so big and proud, and Grandpa had his arm around him, looking like the proudest grandfather ever. I literally sat on Grandpa's bedroom floor and cried for like an hour. I just kept thinking about all those years we lost with Ryan, and how Grandpa died without getting to see him one last time, except at the funeral, which doesn't really count. Anyway, after the dinner, things got weird. Kylie started contacting basically everyone in the family individually about the inheritance. Like, She wasn't even subtle about it. She texted me like 20 times in a week asking about the estate timeline and whether they should get their own separate lawyer and what I thought Ryan's fair share should be. At first, I actually thought maybe she was just concerned about financial planning or whatever. I know, I'm an idiot sometimes. But then my cousin Isabel called me all confused because Kylie had called her asking really specific questions about inheritance amounts and who was getting what. Isabel was like, "Why is she asking me this stuff? I'm not the executor or anything." So I decided to talk to the family lawyer just to understand what was actually in the will, since Kylie was asking all these questions. And well, it turns out Grandpa Harold had actually modified his will about 2 years ago after Ryan's estrangement. The lawyer told me that Ryan was getting significantly less than the other grandchildren, and his portion would be placed in a trust rather than given directly. Apparently, Grandpa added a clause stating it was due to concerns about influences on his financial decisions. Basically, Grandpa knew what was up with Kylie. He wasn't stupid. I felt really awkward knowing this information and not telling Ryan, so I asked if he and Kylie would meet me for coffee to talk about it. Big mistake. We met at this little cafe near my apartment. I tried to explain everything as gently as possible, just laying out the facts about the trust arrangement. As soon as I finished explaining, Kylie's whole face just changed. Like her fake sweet expression just dropped, and she looked furious. Ryan looked completely shocked. Kylie was like, "Did you know about this before?" She literally demanded it, not asked. I told her honestly that I just found out yesterday from the lawyer. Then she exploded. She started saying I was lying and that I've always been jealous of her relationship with Ryan. What relationship am I supposed to be jealous of exactly? The one where she isolated him from everyone who loves him. Ryan tried to calm her down and looked super embarrassed because people were starting to stare at us. But Kylie just kept going, saying our family manipulated a sick old man to punish Ryan. I tried to explain it was Grandpa's decision alone and nobody else even knew about it. Then she literally stood up so fast she knocked her chair over and started yelling about how we're all manipulative money grabbers, and the whole cafe was just staring at us. Ryan just kept saying, "Kylie, please," and looking miserable. He apologized to me before following her out of the cafe. I just sat there feeling mortified and also really sad for my brother. Later that night, my phone basically exploded with texts from Kylie. She was threatening to contest the will and saying she would expose how our family had emotionally abused Ryan for years, which is just so backwards from what actually happened. I haven't told anyone this before, not even in my last post, but I've actually kept all the hostile texts Kylie has sent me over the years. At first, I just didn't delete them, and then I started saving them because they were so crazy. I always hoped that eventually Ryan would come back to the family and we could all reconcile. So I never showed anyone the texts because I thought it would just make things worse. My cousin Ethan, he works in finance, helped me look into some stuff, and it turns out Ryan and Kylie have serious money problems. They have this huge mortgage they can barely afford, 2 brand new luxury cars, and they're constantly posting on social media about these expensive vacations. Ryan got laid off 6 months ago. So where is this money coming from? Credit cards, probably. I was still trying to figure out what to do when I got a call from Jamie, who was Ryan's college roommate and has stayed friends with both of them. She was really hesitant to talk at first, but eventually told me that Kylie had done something similar with her ex-boyfriend's family before Ryan. Like, she isolated him from his family until his grandmother died, then pushed for her share of an inheritance. What the actual FCK? I was completely freaking out at this point. Like, this woman has been manipulating my brother for years, and now I had proof it wasn't the first time she'd done this. But I still wasn't sure if I should tell Ryan. What if he didn't believe me? What if it just pushed him further away? But then yesterday, something happened that made the decision for me. Kylie accidentally sent me a text that was obviously meant for someone else. In it, she said our family was stupid for not realizing she was entitled to the money. She called Ryan's grandfather loaded and said she was going to get what she thought was hers. The worst part was her saying Ryan would do whatever she told him to. I literally felt sick reading it, like physically nauseous. This woman has been pretending to care about family while just trying to get her hands on Grandpa's money the whole time. And the way she talked about Ryan controlling him, It's honestly disgusting. So I've spent basically all night putting together everything I have, all the texts, the information from Jamie, screenshots of their lavish spending despite Ryan being unemployed, and of course, that accidental text. Our family is meeting tomorrow to discuss the inheritance situation, and I'm going to show them everything. I'm terrified about how Ryan will react. Part of me is worried he's so under her control that he'll still choose her over us. But I have to try. I can't just sit back and watch her manipulate him anymore. Edit. A lot of people are asking why I didn't confront Kylie directly about the accidental text. I honestly was too shocked when I first got it. And then I realized if I confronted her, she would just delete it and deny everything. I needed to keep it as evidence. Edit 2. Someone asked how much money we're talking about with the inheritance. I don't want to give exact amounts, but it's substantial. Grandpa was very careful with his money and invested well throughout his life. It's definitely enough that someone would go to great lengths to get their hands on it. To those saying I should have shown Ryan the texts years ago, you're probably right. I was afraid of making things worse and pushing him further away. I thought if I just gave him space, eventually he'd see through her on his own. I realize now that was naive. Manipulative people like Kylie are experts at isolation. I really hope it's not too late. Now for the second update. I promised an update after the family meeting, and wow, a lot happened. Like, way more than I expected. I'm still kind of processing everything, to be honest. So the night before the meeting, I literally stayed up until like 3 a.m. organizing all the evidence I had collected about Kylie. I made this whole digital folder with screenshots of texts, information from Jamie, Ryan's college roommate, financial stuff my cousin helped me find, and of course, that accidental text where she basically admitted everything. I was feeling super anxious about the whole thing and almost chickened out like 5 times. I even drafted this text to Ryan saying I was sick and couldn't make it, but then deleted it. I just kept thinking about how Ryan had always been there for me growing up. Like there was this one time in high school when my boyfriend cheated on me. I was absolutely devastated. Ryan, who was home from college that weekend, literally drove me around for hours, just letting me cry and scream and be a complete mess. He bought me ice cream and didn't even complain when I got chocolate all over his car seats. He was always that kind of brother, you know, the protective kind who would do anything for you, which made it even more painful to see him being manipulated by Kylie. Anyway, I got to my parents' house early to prepare them for what might happen. My mom was already stress baking when I arrived. That's just her way of dealing with stress, I guess. She was making Ryan's favorite cookies too, and it kind of broke my heart because she was so hopeful about him coming back to the family. I tried to explain to my parents what I was planning to do, but I don't think they fully understood how bad the evidence was. My dad just kept saying, "Let's hear everyone out first," which is his way of saying he's uncomfortable with conflict. When Ryan and Kylie arrived, Kylie was dressed like she was going to a business meeting. She had literally drawn up these fair division plans for the inheritance. Meanwhile, Ryan looked super tense and could barely make eye contact with anyone. He gave my mom this awkward side hug that made her tear up. My cousin Isabel brought her boyfriend Logan, male 34, for moral support, which honestly annoyed me a little. Like, I get that she wanted support, but did we really need an outsider witnessing all our family problems? This guy has only been dating Isabel for like 4 months, and now he gets front row seats to the messiest family meeting ever. Great. The first hour of the meeting was basically the Kylie show. She dominated the entire conversation, kept interrupting everyone, and spoke for Ryan most of the time. She kept going on and on about their entitlement to an equal share of Grandpa's money and making these emotional appeals about how they always valued family, despite literally ignoring us for 3 years. The audacity, I swear. Ryan was so quiet during all of this. At first, I thought maybe he was embarrassed by her behavior or starting to see through her. But looking back, I think he was still under her control and just letting her handle everything. When the family lawyer started explaining the terms of the trust Grandpa Harold had set up, Kylie's face just changed. As the lawyer kept talking about how Ryan's portion would be controlled by the trust rather than given directly, she got more and more agitated. She kept interrupting with questions about who decided this and if it could be contested. Finally, she said that this was ridiculous and they were being punished because Ryan finally stood up to his controlling family and that they deserved an equal share. That was when I knew it was time. My hands were literally shaking as I opened my laptop. I took a deep breath and told everyone I thought it was time we all saw the truth about why Ryan really cut us off. I connected my laptop to my parents' TV and opened the folder with all the evidence. The first screenshot I showed was a text from Kylie to me from 3 years ago, telling me to stop trying to contact Ryan and that his family had done nothing but hold him back his whole life. Kylie immediately jumped up and started yelling that the texts were fake. She accused me of making this up and claimed I'd always been jealous of her. I just stayed calm and continued showing dozens of messages spanning the entire 3 years. There were messages where she talked about Grandpa's illness, being manipulation to get Ryan to visit, and where she mocked our family traditions. Then I played a voicemail where Kylie told me to give up on ever having a relationship with Ryan again and how she was the only family he needs now. The whole room was dead silent. My mom was crying quietly. My dad looked like he was in physical pain. Isabel and her boyfriend were just frozen, staring at the screen. And then I showed the final piece, that accidental text about being entitled to that money and how Ryan would do whatever she told him to. The room was completely silent after that. Ryan was just staring at the screen. He looked completely shocked with his face completely white as he kept shaking his head slightly. Kylie actually tried to grab my laptop, but my dad blocked her. Ryan finally spoke in this really quiet voice. He asked Kylie if she really said these things about his family and grandfather. That's when Kylie completely switched tactics. She started crying and saying she was just protecting him from toxic people and that I was manipulating everyone with selective screenshots. Then I told him about what Jamie had told me, about how Kylie had done this exact same thing with her ex-boyfriend's family. The isolating, the waiting for inheritance, all of it. Ryan stood up then, and his voice was shaking when he told her she had lied to him for years and isolated him from people who love him. And you guys, Kylie just lost it. She started screaming that Ryan belonged to her and that our family never deserved him anyway. It was honestly terrifying. Ryan told her he didn't belong to anyone and he'd missed years with his grandfather that he could never get back because of her. Kylie threatened divorce, lawsuits, that she would ruin everyone before storming out and slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. After she left, Ryan just broke down sobbing. He kept apologizing over and over to everyone. He told us how Kylie had gradually taken control of every part of his life, his finances, his friendships, even his work relationships. He said she had convinced him that our family was manipulating him and that any attempt to contact us was proof of our toxic, controlling nature. The most heartbreaking part was when he admitted he had started having doubts about a year ago, but was afraid to reach out because Kylie had convinced him we would never forgive him. My mom just got up and hugged him and told him his room was exactly as he left it, that she had kept it that way hoping he'd come back someday. We were all crying at that point. Even my dad, who never cries. So it's been about 3 months since that explosive meeting. Ryan has moved into a small apartment near me while the divorce proceedings continue. He's been going to therapy twice a week to understand the manipulation he experienced and how he could have been so blind to it. His therapist specializes in emotional abuse and said this kind of isolation is actually really common in manipulative relationships. The family decided to proceed with the original inheritance plan, with Ryan's portion remaining in trust until the divorce is finalized to protect it from Kylie's claims. A judge actually dismissed Kylie's lawsuit against the estate last week, which was a huge relief. Our family relationships are slowly healing, though there are still awkward moments and unresolved hurt feelings. Like sometimes there will be a reference to something that happened during those 3 years Ryan was gone, and there's this painful silence because he wasn't there for it. Or Ryan will mention something Kylie told him about us that was completely untrue, and we have to process that together. I sometimes feel really guilty for not showing Ryan the texts earlier. I keep wondering if it would have spared those years of estrangement if I had just been more aggressive about showing him the truth. My therapist says Kylie would have probably found ways to explain them away when Ryan was under her influence, but I don't know. It's hard not to wonder. One good thing that's come out of all this, Ryan and I are using a small portion of the inheritance to create a fishing pond on our parents' property dedicated to Grandpa Harold. Ryan got really emotional when we were planning it, talking about all those fishing trips with Grandpa that were some of his best childhood memories. We can't get back the years we lost, but we're trying to honor Grandpa's memory by rebuilding the family bonds he valued most. Ryan actually went fishing last weekend for the first time since before he met Kylie. Said it felt like Grandpa was there with him. Edit. Wow, this blew up overnight. Thank you all for the supportive comments. I'm trying to respond to as many as I can. Edit 2. To those asking about Kylie's current situation, we don't have much contact with her, thank God. Last I heard from Ryan's lawyer, she's contesting everything in the divorce and making it as difficult as possible. She's still trying to claim she's entitled to part of the inheritance, even though they were only married for 4 years, and the money isn't even directly in Ryan's control because of the trust. Several people have asked if we've heard from Jamie, Ryan's college friend who told me about Kylie's ex. Ryan has reconnected with her, and apparently Kylie had convinced him that Jamie was in love with him and trying to break them up. Jamie and Ryan have reconnected as friends, and she's been really supportive during all this. For those asking about Isabel's boyfriend, Logan, yes, it was awkward having him there, but honestly, he's been super cool about everything. He actually helped Ryan move into his new apartment, and they've become friends. I guess sometimes an outside perspective can be helpful, and I feel bad for being annoyed about him being at the meeting now.